Hey, what's up, good people? Happy Friday to you, and welcome to the family room.
Welcome to the Friday room, the Friday room. Welcome to the family room. But that's how we feel like it's,
Right.
Woo, a lot going on today.
That's the kind of week it's been.
That's why we're a little late getting on because the cable people were here.
Cable people were here. The ADT.
So, that was the alarm people.
Yeah, that was alarm people that was here.
Okay, but it was, yeah. And you have a meeting going on right now that you're supposed
Yes,
to be in.
I've been in the meeting since 9 o'clock this morning, and I'll rejoin that meeting in a little while.
Yes, so let everybody know what is going on in Pastor Ramsey's life today. So we're kind of just chopping it up today on Friday. Yeah. So tell them about the meeting that you had, because some people don't know about what you do, kind of community-wise.
Yeah, I'm on the board of overseer in Full Gospel Baptist Church Fellowship International of Marriage and Family.
And then, what does that take your time? What does that entail?
That entails there are about 500 churches in that are under the umbrella of Full Gospel, and so it's really a major position that's looked at in the fellowship, and one that is critically important because it deals with family, it deals with marriages, it deals with everything you want the fellowship to really stand for. And so to have been placed in that position is an incredible opportunity. And we're excited about that. And then I'm on the board of trustees for Marian University here in town. It is a private Catholic university with incredible education programs, and they do so much in the community. They have incredible athletics as well. So we lost a lot.
Right. It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a question for everyone. There's 21 people watching, but where are they watching at? Because it's not on Facebook.
It's not on there?
There it is. There it is. Okay. I see it now. It just popped up.
Okay.
All right. We're okay with no light.
Yeah.
But wait a minute though. Why are we out of lights and you got a 2-pound generator?
You know what? Hold on. You keep talking and I'm gonna fix the little generator.
No, I'm just gonna go get a lamp from another room.
No, I got it though. I got the fix.
Okay, right, so for those of you that are just joining us, okay, hi Jackie's watching this on YouTube. Great, you got that down to a science.
Yes.
Hi G, I know you were on your lunch break. Marvin, good to see you as always. Pastor needs another male in the family room with us. I know. What is it? Romel will be coming soon. Rondre comes when he can. Hi, Mamie. It is so good to see you as well. Minister Posey, great to see you in the family room today. So, Pastor and I, this is kind of our Flow With It Friday, chopping it up. Lagathea, thank you for watching us on Facebook today. At any time, if you have some type of a question for us, please feel free to share that with us. Pastor and I are in working on some new environment stuff here. We're going to get our home. Oh my gosh, I just knew that was going to spill.
I'm all right. I'm not wounded.
We're going to get our home studio up and going within the next 2 weeks. Like, we got a lot going on. The kids are out on summer break. Jeremiah is here. Judah is in a day camp. Thank you, God. Hallelujah. You know, it's safe. It's at her school, limited number of students. Kimberly Johnson is in her EMS truck. That's working and flowing at the same time.
Okay.
So thank you for joining us for the family room. And today we're kind of just going to share with you like what our life is like.
Yes.
How we just make it from day to day. Because so many times you hear all of the good, you see all the good, you think we wake up, speaking in tongues, smile on our face and quote scriptures, but we really are a family unit.
Right. And so balance has been crazy this week. And you guys have heard me talk about this before, that in anything is easier to obtain than it is to maintain. Yes. So it's one thing to get balance, but it's another thing to be able to maintain that balance and have the discipline and the balance to be able to do that, or the strength to be able to do that. So this week for us, balance just went out the window.
It did. And no matter how hard you plan, like we really planned, we had a schedule, we had things down to a T.
Yeah.
And it still didn't work out that way.
Yeah, no, we had a million things planned this week.
Yes.
I think we ended up doing 1.5 million.
But we stretched it out like over a month.
We stretched it out over a month.
And it's still like snowballed on us. And I think one thing we want to share with you is whenever those kind of things happen, you can't take it out on your spouse or the person you're dating. You can't take it out on your kids when the plan doesn't go the way you want it to go.
Right. Yeah, no, you can't do that at all. So appreciate you guys being on with us today. It's Flow With Us Friday. We talk about just random subjects. And right now we're talking a little bit about what our week has been like. And really the last 30 days have been like, it's been just intense planning. Most things went as it planned, except for this one major one. And we're trying to kind of recoup from that and getting everything in place.
So let me ask you this question. How can, when people are dealing with things, when they're off balance, so they're trying their best to stay balanced, like you and I try, you know, what do you do as a Christian when things get off balance? When things get off balance, I think you got to find a way to look at what can be eliminated. That needs to be number one. What if nothing can be eliminated? If nothing can be this week, nothing
nothing can be eliminated. Well, then that's when you got to ask for help. That's when you got to have help.
Did you hear what he just said?
Yeah.
And tell them as far as you and I are concerned when it comes to asking for help.
That's not a strong point, to say the least. You know, somebody can, hey, Pastor, you need me for this, that, and the other, man. I'd love to help out and everything. And those settings, I'm like on it. I'm like, man, wonderful. Thank you. Can you do this, that, and the other? Can you meet me at whatever the case might be? But if it's not volunteered, I typically don't ask, which sometimes can be a challenge.
And it can be a challenge. And just to give you an example, I didn't even get the chance to tell him this yet because he was in a meeting. I just reached out to someone we use as a caregiver sometimes. And I just said, you know what? Tomorrow, I'm going to need a couple of hours.
Yeah.
I just need a couple of hours. And then he needs to study, but I just need a couple of hours, and not even to do work around the house. I'm not even going to do work around the house. I just need a mental moment.
Yeah.
And knowing to say that I need a mental moment. And the person was like, sure, drop them off. You know, it's not a problem. This is where I'll be. So just to drop the kids off for a couple of hours, he needs a mental moment. I need a mental moment. So that we can dive into, you know.
Yeah, and it's not a mental moment like she needs a moment from me or I need a moment from her. It's just the fact of knowing where you are and just being able to just clear your head, go do what you want to do for a couple of hours. If it's driving around, if it's go to your favorite coffee shop and read a book or whatever it is, being able to have that outlet.
But let me say this though, sometimes married couples have to understand, sometimes you do need a moment of peace. Like you do need a moment away from me sometimes, and sometimes I need a moment with you. And it's not that we're arguing, we're not mad at each other, but you deserve to just sit there and have nobody talking to you, asking you nothing, walking in the room.
Ask me to do nothing.
And it's okay. And I deserve that. You know, it's just, I think sometimes married couples feel like that's a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing at all. I mean, you know, you definitely want to, your relationship biblically should be at a certain level. That's what the Bible sets a standard for all of us.
Yeah.
But part of it being at that level is going to involve knowing when you need to step away for a minute and just have nothing on the agenda. I think that's one of the greatest things about vacations is that when you take a vacation, the worst thing you could ever, you want to know how to blow your vacation the first day is try to fit 50 business calls in when you're supposed to be on vacation. But to put your phone away for a while and to not answer anything and just to be able to not have an agenda, that can be huge. And you can do that by being in town and just doing the same thing. Or you can go somewhere, obviously, and have the real type of vacation. But being able to unplug is what I'm saying is the key, whether you're in town or whether you're out of town.
Sometimes for when I need time, is doing what I want to do. Not what other people want me to do, not what I have to do, but what I want to do. So to be honest, if I want to sit there on Instagram for an hour, I can sit there on Instagram for an hour because that's what I want to do.
Right.
Some people, it may be watching a movie, it may be reading a book, but really finding those mental moments because I think that's how, especially as women, how we explode because we keep going. And I've had to learn that over the years because there are times where I will physically just break down because I keep going and keep going and keep going. Do you feel like the same for you?
Yeah, I feel the same for me, but I also feel like that's where couples need to listen to each other because some of you don't allow your spouse to say, hey, you just need to chill. You need to have some time down or you need to whatever, but giving them the liberty to be able to come at you like that, being able to recognize, hey, she probably needs a break. He probably needs a break and being able to feed off of that. I think just understanding that from both parties. And you know, a lot of people, they say they want a husband. They say they want a wife, but then you don't want to let him be a husband. And a husband got the right to be concerned about their spouse if they're not feeling well, if they're got a lot on their shoulders and those types of
both
things.
ways, because she's not nitpicking at you if she's concerned about your health.
Right. And I preface it with that,
Yes.
that it's a two-way street, and both parties need to be able to have that. And a lot of that falls back on what level of quality communication do you have in that marriage?
Right. And even with your children, it's okay to say, I need a moment from my kids, even your grown kids.
Right.
It's okay to say, I'm not going to answer the phone today. No, I don't want you coming over for Sunday dinner this week.
Right.
I want a break. You have that right to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't really think it's anything where you got to explain it to somebody. Sometimes it's just what you need, and being able to step into it and do it without having a guilty conscience. Well, I need to run to my mother's, or I need to help so-and-so with something else. There's always going to be a need. And I think that one of the keys to being able to have some level of balance and be able to enjoy what you do is knowing how to take that break and not feeling as if you owe anybody anything for doing it. You ever notice that?
It's okay to if you're single and you say to yourself, I don't want to go to the family dinner. I don't want to participate in this. I want to take this break, and it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because sometimes people think for singles that if they don't have kids and are not married, that they shouldn't get tired.
Yeah, I just think that's a ridiculous notion.
Yeah.
And I think it's a difference between you living up to other people's expectations. See, I really believe that the balancing factor is this. If you function according to God's will and plan for your life, you don't have to worry about pleasing people, because most of the things you're going to do is going to be built around that. But in that are going to be times where there's a break. Jesus said to the disciple, come away with me and let's rest a while. Yeah. You know, he said that in the New Testament, and it's just powerful because it was letting you know that even though he is God incarnate, which means God in flesh, he recognized that spiritually he was fine, but physically his flesh needed rest.
Right. Mamie says this, being a parent with adult children and having no family here, it is hard to disconnect. I feel guilty all of the time because I feel they have no one else to depend on. They will figure it out. We don't have family here. When we moved here, we didn't have anyone.
None.
We had to create a village to support us in the different times. But you have to own your environment. And say, it's okay the grandkids can't come over today.
Right.
It's okay that I don't want a house full of people today. And not feel guilty about it.
And I think the key thing that you mentioned in your statement was adult children. So if they're adult children, I think sometimes we always want to be able to help so much as parents that we need to make sure that we draw some lines of demarcation in the relationship. There needs to be some boundaries whereby that if these are my adult children, now adult children can range from college students that need your involvement and that type of thing. But my point is, let them do what they need to be able to do for themselves. That's not wrapped around a dependence on you.
Definitely. I mean, our son, 23, lives in town. We don't see him every week and every weekend.
Yeah, we don't hear from him a lot.
We don't. And we give him that space. And I think that's important. We don't have that expectation. And I know because you and I both were raised with that expectation, because you told me, you know, your family, the adult, you know, children came over every weekend. Yeah. You know, everybody, the grandkids were over every weekend. When I was growing up, we went over my grandmother's every weekend. It was like an expectation. You better make sure you were there.
Right.
To go. We didn't want that.
Right.
For our children.
No, we wanted our own environment. We wanted our own system for how we go about doing things. We wanted our own way of celebrating holidays.
Yes.
And I think that one of the things that we concluded fairly early on, or at least in the first 5, 6, 10 years, is just the fact that your Christmas doesn't have to be my Christmas. I want to, when the Bible said that the two shall become one, that means that there's a level of separation between the birth parents and then your immediate family that you're trying to develop, which means that I don't have to go every year if I have parents alive, that I don't have to go there every year for Thanksgiving, whatever the case might be. I can have my own and it be okay.
It probably took us about 10 years.
Yeah.
Because we used to go Ohio one holiday, Fort Wayne the next, Ohio, Fort Wayne. Like every holiday we were on the road. And I think Jeremiah too. It got harder with Jeremiah, and we said we can't do this no more.
Right. And at the end of the day, I'm saying that we did it for a while. I don't remember the timeline, but it probably was somewhere around in that 10-year span where we realized that we had to set our own boundaries and not feel guilty about it, because everybody has a different situation. You know?
Rodre has a question. Can you read it?
If I can see it, can you see it a little bit better?
Yeah, you probably can you scoot? I would scoot up to read it.
In terms of finding balance, do you feel people can normalize and function within imbalance so long that they lose the ability to recognize the symptoms that they're functioning in a state of imbalance? I absolutely believe that. And I believe that happens more times than you might realize. And again, but in order to change that situation, Rondre, that whoever that individual is or that couple is, they have to recognize that. And they got to realize, listen, this is not the way this is supposed to function. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I know it's a very simple statement that I say, and I've been saying this for many years, 10, 15 years. And that is that a need doesn't constitute a call, meaning that because there's a need, Jesus said, the poor you have with you always. And I'm not speaking so much to the poverty component of that. I'm speaking to the fact that what Jesus was saying is that there's always going to be people with needs, always. But because there's a need doesn't mean I'm called to meet it. And if it's financial, whether it's financial or whether it's some other level, it doesn't mean that I'm called to meet that. Because what I've learned about a lot of people, and sometimes well-meaning family members, is that they will make a spouse out of you if you let them. They'll make you the source if you let them. And as long as you'll be their safety net, they'll never develop their own, because they know I can keep coming back to this person, keep coming back. They're going to fix my problem. They're going to save my problem. They're going to give me money for my problem. They're going to do whatever. Right. And I really think that that's how, if you're not careful in that state, you can become silently bitter over a period of time, and eventually it ends up ruining the relationship.
And the thing about it is there are times when you have to become the change agent in your family. It may have functioned for 20, 30, 40 years, 50 years. It has always functioned this way, where you, like you said, somebody needs $5, somebody needs $20, somebody needs their car fixed, that you've done it that way. But you have to make that decision that we're not going to do this way anymore. Yeah. And they're going to get mad at you. They're going to get offended. And you have to be prepared. Yeah,
I think that was a great statement, though, Roger. It's a great statement / question, because a lot of people fall into that category. And I'll guarantee you there's a lot of people that either heard that now or will hear that in the near future that needed that question to be asked and responded to, because that is a major problem in our society as a whole.
Right. Well, it's Pastor Ramsey, First Lady Alicia Ramsey, in the family room. And this is our Flow With It Friday. We're kind of sharing with you about balance. And the reason we're sharing that today is because we've been off balance here lately. And we just had a lot going on in our life. And we're just really trying our best. And it's not bad things. Yeah. So that's another thing. Okay. You can be walking into the blessing and things going well in your life. And sometimes people feel like there's no pressure that comes with walking into a blessing.
Yeah, people don't understand that blessing comes with maintenance. And the greater the blessing, the higher the level of maintenance. Example, if you got blessed with a new car, maybe it's a luxury car. Yeah. Well, there's a higher level of maintenance that comes with that than maybe a car that may not be as expensive, or you're blessed with a new house. Well, guess what? There's a lot of maintenance that comes with that. That's going to more than likely be a higher price tag than it was with the previous house. So, so it's always easier to obtain than it is to maintain.
You want to go on vacation. It's work getting ready for vacation, especially if you're taking your kids or your grandkids, you're going with your spouse. I know we would always feel like we need a vacation after vacation.
Yeah, and there were times where we paid for a sitter to come so that, you know, you and I could steal a few hours away each day, and just kind of whether we wanted to lay around and relax, or whether we wanted to go to dinner, then come right back to them, or whatever we wanted to do.
Or a grandparent may go with you, or, you know, just take a family member with you, or a close friend. It's okay. Yeah. Like, you have to understand that. How does relaxation look for you? Because you know what the thing is, some people don't find balance because they don't even know what it looks like.
Exactly. And I think that's what Rondre's statement alluded to earlier, that you can be so immersed in imbalance that you have a hard time recognizing how off your life and your world really has become, because you function like that all the time. And again, it goes back to a statement I used to make all the time, and I'll probably never stop making it from time to time. And that is that the devil knows that if he can't stop you, he'll get behind you and push. because he understands that if he can wear you down, ultimately he can tear you down. If you're worn down, you're going to be more vulnerable to spiritual attacks. If you're more worn down, you're going to be more vulnerable to emotional attacks. You're going to more than likely react to a situation than respond to a situation if you're worn down. And the enemy recognizes these things sometimes better than we do. And that's why he's able to get us to that, to that point.
Right. There were times in life where we had the time, but we didn't have the resources. Now it feels like we have the resources and not the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some time where you don't want to spend the resources. I know even like Judah, at first I didn't have her signed up for any type of camps.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I found out camps were reopening, I was like, okay, let me just pick a couple because I don't want to spend all this money. But then I realized, now what good is it going to do her sitting around here, looking at us, asking us a million questions?
Yeah.
If I can get her in, let me just suck it up.
Right.
Pay the money and get her in, and then work out the transportation.
Right.
You drop her off, I pick her up. We still had to put a schedule together. But this, few hours of peace is what we needed, and she needed that too.
Exactly. And that brings me to another point that sometimes you got to pay for peace, meaning that, okay, you don't have everybody watch your kids. Okay. There are websites you can go to now where people they check the people out, background check, all that kind of stuff, just whatever it is that you got to do. But my point is sometimes you got to pay for it. You got to do what you got to do.
But I'm only saying that because African Americans, we good for not going on those sites and doing all that stuff.
Yeah, we don't always do all that.
But we need to get to the point, especially when people were talking about if family members are not available. I know people that have respite care available to them and won't use it. Right. I can't trust anybody. Where does the God factor come in? Exactly.
And I go back to something we've talked about before, and that is that if we can put a nonverbal child on a bus and trust that his day is going to go well, and he come back home and everything is okay, I'm quite sure you can step out on a little bit of faith to bring some level of balance to your situation.
Yeah, and plan, prepare, communicate, There are times when friends will ask you, or a classmate, where you're like, well, I don't know them that well. Okay, your kid has been in class with them for a year or known them for a year, and they want to play date. Get to know the family, go over several times, meet at a location. It takes planning to get a break from your kids.
Yeah,
it does.
It does. And there's a lot of stuff you got to pay for these days. But what you find out is that it's worth the price of the admission. For Judah to be in camp this week, especially with the things that we got going on, we're able to get so many things leveled out before she gets home every evening, which brings about a great level of balance for the family. So again, sometimes you got to pay for that piece. You got to invest in your own family to be able to create some kind of balance.
Yeah, Sister Mary always talks about, I saw on a pediatrician program, summer camps are necessary for children to develop emotionally, physically, and socially. And it helps them trust their decision-making process.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that. They have to be away from you. And you've got, because think about it, one day for you that have smaller children, one day they're going to go off to college. Well, if you haven't done these things throughout the course of their life, how are you going to feel comfortable enough to let them go to college if you won't even let them go to a camp?
Right. LaTanya says this, helping me, I need to step out on faith with MJ and trusting him with others because I need a break. Yes, you do.
Absolutely.
And he's a great kid. He's a great kid. And they play themselves like Lauren's on the thread. And, one of the other young ladies, she's like, well, I wasn't sure about dropping. I said, are you kidding me? I said, Lauren well, you know what type of parent her and Andre are. They're great parents. Let your son go play with your son. Yeah. This is our church family. There's nothing going wrong in that house. We know how they're raising their kids. And her son had the best time.
And you know what trips me out though?
Yeah.
What trips me out is how that can be so hard for some of us sometimes. When you were growing up,
they would let you go anywhere.
Your parents threw them with somebody drunk for 3 or 4 hours. And then they came back and they got you or whatever. I'm not saying that that's good at all. Right. I'm just being exaggerating and showing you, come on now.
Right. And here's the thing. This is what they do, LaTanya. He plays me, Mom, I don't want to go with people I don't know. Very true. one little boy, I wanted to give his mother a break. So Judah and I took him with us, and he started crying in the car. I said, boy, you're going to be all right. You see me every week.
Mhm.
Within an hour, he had such a good time. He didn't even want to go home. So let them get through that, working through that. Here's one. Juanita says this. I'm always making sure my family is good, but when it comes to myself, I sometimes feel guilty that I'm taking time for myself, if that makes sense.
And that's what the devil wants you to do. He wants you to feel guilty, because if he can make you feel guilty, then you're going to keep running on that treadmill, the same pace you've been running. And at the end of the day, at some point, you got to pump the brakes on your life. And if you don't, it's going to end up with high blood pressure. It's going to manifest some type of way with physical health, emotional health, psychological health, just whatever it might be. But you got to be able to find that balance. And the only way you're going to do it is just step out and do it. Well, I can't find anybody to, and a lot of you think, well, nobody can do it like you do. Okay, well, that's great. And maybe that's the case, but somebody can do it.
Yeah.
So why has it got to be a comparison? If somebody can do it and they can do it pretty solidly, okay, well, then why is it so necessary for me to put handcuffs on my kids and cuff them to myself?
And we understand how you feel. When we started out and we had Johnny, Johnny was with us 24/7. I worked part-time, and then when I wasn't at work, he went to daycare, then he was with us after that. He may have been about 2. And the daycare provider, she said, you and Pastor need to go on a date or something. She said, he can stay with me overnight. And we were just like, oh, like Sister Rita, remember, it took her to say that, no, you have your kids with you all the time. And that was like our first time, like, okay, we got to balance this out, because we wanted to be attentive parents and good parents. And we really had to step out. And I'm glad we did, because in here I get put on bed rest. Like, then we had a lot of stuff going on, because your body will tell you when you need to take care of yourself. And Pastor and I deal with that a lot. Like, our bodies will shut down on us because we are so physically and mentally exhausted.
Yeah. And you got to have that balance. So you got to find a way to create it. And I know it's easier to talk about than it is to apply. But the reality is, if you don't apply it at some point in your life, you're going to end up with some serious challenges. And some of those might be health. So on one hand, you don't want to let your kid go somewhere to a camp or whatever the case might be. But on the other hand, is breaking you down over a period of time. Now you got health issues and you still got the same dilemma. And the other thing I was thinking about while you were talking also is the fact that when you don't put your kids in other environments, you're forcing them to not mature properly. So that when they get to a certain place, they can be 18, 19 years old and you still want them handcuffed to you because you haven't taught them how to function in different environments without you.
And our mindset was always, if something were to happen to you and I, heaven forbid it doesn't, we wanted our children. It's hard enough to lose a parent as an adult. Think about the millions that lose their parent as children. We wanted our children to be able to function without us. Yes, they will miss us. Yes, they will be devastated, but they still have people in their life they're so familiar with, that they're so used to, that they know them, that they could be okay.
Exactly. And you can give your child a better life than you had without feeling like you got to give them the world.
Yes.
Because what you can give them the most, that's going to be the most meaningful to them, is you. And the way that you're going to be a best version of yourself is by having some of the balance, at least some level of balance that we're talking about today.
Yeah. Your daughter and I were talking about this the other day, about the bathroom. So Judah has these little tendencies about her. So she doesn't like if she was little bitty and she didn't like Jeremiah in the bathtub before her in case it was dirt. She just had these tendencies. So I remember I was in the car with her like you have been many times. And I was like, Mommy grew up in a little bitty house with one bathroom, 3 brothers share a room. I had a room, Mommy had a room. I said, we had one bathroom. We would run out of hot water. And she was like, oh, I don't think I could live like that. Girl, you didn't have a choice. This is what you do. We didn't know anything different. This is what we had.
Right.
So we're raising our kids. We want them to have a better life. But some of them, it's just like, oh, you really don't have a clue.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things I've tried not to do is do a lot of referencing, and I know you're the same way, to how it was when I grew up, because they don't have a point of reference, and it's kind of hard for them to put that around their minds. But it is important that you explain some things to them,
Right,
so
because
they
what she was
understand.
complaining about, like, that's
Yeah.
not a problem.
Yeah, so they understand that you've worked hard to get where you are,
Yes.
and to bring them to wherever they are and the things that they can enjoy, and that appreciation should come along with that versus focusing on minors.
Right. We're going to have to do with her like we did with Johnny, take them and show them where we used to live,
Mhm.
how we grew up, and those types of things, because
Yeah.
that's important for them to understand
Mhm.
how hard we worked to get to where we are today.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us today.
But Willie Bates said no reference point. Minister Willie, yeah, they don't. Kids don't have a reference
Yeah,
point.
they don't.
How all the choices,
Mhm.
like we have Fruit Loops, Cheerios, Frosted Flakes in there. We didn't have no name brand nothing.
Mhm.
We had generic ketchup. We had
Yeah.
generic everything. And just the fact she could go in there and look at a million snacks. Jeremiah's Chex Mix. We make sure it never runs out.
Mhm.
Like, are you kidding me? We ran out of
Yeah.
everything.
Judah looks in the refrigerator like it's a mall or something.
There's nothing to drink. There's nothing to drink.
Exactly.
Well, there's nothing to eat. What do you mean there's nothing to eat?
Yeah.
That's the part that, we really have to, don't you feel, as parents that work hard to achieve things, we do have to try to make sure we maintain that balance for our children to understand that.
Yeah.
The difference between a want and a need, and becoming selfish.
Exactly, because it's easy to raise up children and they become selfish. And so you want to have a balance between that. And in order to do that, I think also you got to expose them to other environments. And what I mean by that is this: your children know other kids, I guarantee you, at their school that don't live as well as you guys, that they're not in a
Right.
position to live as well as you guys.
Right.
And you don't have to be wealthy to be in a better situation than someone else. You might be in an apartment and you're raising your two children, which is no problem with that. But there might be somebody that's catching the bus from a shelter, or they're being dropped off from a
Right.
shelter. And so being able to capitalize on things that they do see
Yes.
with their kids and educate them about that is really important.
Yes. Rondre says Fruit Rounds, King Vitamin, and Kaboom. Yeah, and we didn't even have that. Ours just says cereal, Rondre. It was just horrible. But really making better economic choices too. She and I, we were at Target yesterday, and we went there. She knew what she needed. I knew what I needed. She didn't have any money. It was my money.
Mhm.
But she was like, Mom, can I get this? Before we went, I said, yes, we can get that and get the things for your lunch.
Mhm.
So we get one thing, and she said, well, what about another pair of pajamas? I said, you know what? We have to make a choice here.
Mhm.
I said, what are we going to choose? We're either going to choose this swimsuit or we're going to choose these pajamas, but Mommy's not getting you both.
Right.
It's not saying that I couldn't,
Mhm.
but it's getting her to learn that. You just don't walk in the store and say, oh, I need these pajamas and I need that. We're not
Right.
giving her that mindset.
Right. And I do the same thing with her all the time. You know,
Yes.
we were in the store one time and I said, no, I always talk to her before we go in the store. I did it just the other day.
Yeah.
And I said, Judith, now this is what we're going in for, right? I said, so don't get me in front of no cash register person and try to start pulling out other stuff that's not why we came. So we got to get this and we got to be able to go. So yeah, they can work you a little bit every now and then, but being able to explain those things to them and stay true to it is the only way they're going to develop those kind of convictions and really just discernment about
Right.
things.
And that even helps her, stay balanced, because we want to make sure they are wise stewards of their finances. The
Mhm.
same way, we did with Johnny. We want to make sure that we do that with her. For many of you that have multiple kids, when you get to the last one, it's kind of like, I'm tired. After you're going through those
Exactly.
things, but we still want, like, we had this discussion, like, she's only 11. We're at the gas station, right? So I said, okay, I have to put in, Pastor knows I hate stopping for gas, but on this day, I stopped for gas. Before the light came on, I stopped for gas.
Which is a mini miracle within itself.
Right. So I decided I was going to, I knew how much I was going to pay for gas. So her and she's talking about cars and everything. And I was like, well, how are you going to put gas in it, honey? And she was like, well, I have my money. I said, when you're 16, you'll have an allowance.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, and if you call daddy after your allowance is gone, daddy's going to say no. And she said, well, I'll call. And mommy's going to say, what did daddy say? And then she said, well, I'll call John. I said, Johnny's going to give you a long lecture and you'll
Mhm.
just hang up the phone. And I said, will you be going to Jeremiah for his Social Security? And she said, and I said, what's Jeremiah going to say? She said, nope. I said, that's exactly, he's going to be like, nope, juice. I said, so she even knew, and we laughed at, she's going to have to take care of her money
Mhm.
if she wants to be able to, drive places, do things,
Yeah.
because it's important. You've always had those conversations with our
Mhm.
kids growing up. Don't wait until they're adults and you say, well, they don't handle money well.
Right. Yeah, no, we do that now.
Mhm.
We do that now. Every Friday we have a discussion, and
Right.
she gets an allowance, and we got a system in place. Every other Friday she banks the whole thing outside of her offering.
Right.
And then the next Friday she gets to keep the majority of it and do some things.
Right. But unlike Johnny, that girl can spend some money.
She can't spend some money. It's
Spend
gonna be
some
my
money.
project, but we've started early, so we're gonna get it.
Yeah. Tabitha says she does that with Caleb all the time, getting him on point. Landon works Rondre, but Lauren said he knows not to ask her.
Mhm.
Having these conversations.
Yeah.
Minister Posey says this: back in the day, I told the kids you have $3 to spend at the grocery store.
Mhm.
So they were, trading items up and down. They kind of knew what their limit was at the grocery store.
Yeah,
So
which is good.
it is, because you talk about stewardship all the time. Have the conversation, allow them to understand what it means to save money, to spend money, tithing, offering, all of those things.
And let me say something about stewardship. Because you're a good steward, that's not a gene that your children inherit.
That's
You
good.
have to teach them that.
That's
And you
good.
do it on a daily basis. You don't even wait till they
Yes.
become teenagers. You do it on a
Yes.
daily basis. Right now, Judah and I, we like to talk about cars all the time, but she'll tell you in a heartbeat, one of the things I talk to her about all the time is that when you turn 16, you're not getting a car because you're 16.
Right.
You get a car because you're 16 and you're mature enough to handle it, and you have appreciation for it. You're getting good grades. You're doing what you need to do as a person. And even then, that doesn't mean you get a new car. It means that you start where you start and you move up from there.
Yes. And as African Americans, really understanding the role of investing your money and saving your money
Mhm.
and teaching the next generation how important that is.
Yeah, one of the things I did with John is that when he had his graduation from high school, and people gave him cards, and we talked about it. And by this time, it was so funny because I had already researched what kind I wanted to present to him and ask him which one he wanted. And he looked at me one day. He said, "Dad, whenever I get my open house, I don't know what it's going to be, but whatever it is." Jay said, "Come."
You want to take a nap? You want to take a nap? So when Jeremiah is sleepy, he says, "Mom, come," or
Yeah.
"Dad, come."
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, honey.
Yeah.
You talk.
So one of the things that we did was he came to me. He was 18 years old, and he said, "Dad, whenever I get my open house, whatever I end up getting blessed with, can we take half of it and open up an IRA?" I said, and I just started laughing because that was the first thing I told him. And I told him, I said, "Man, I just researched that this week, so I know exactly which one to get you." And we did that. We set it up, and then throughout his last 4.5 years of college, we'll send money in this account every 2 weeks, but then once a month, I might put something extra in there and say, "Hey man, call your bank and tell them to move that 50 into your Roth IRA." And what we were trying to do with that, what I tried to do with that is to build long-term saving into his system so that when he starts his full-time job here in August, he'll have the jobs retirement and he's going to max it. He already told me he's going to talk to the HR. But then he'll have the other one that we started when he was 18 that he'll still continue to contribute to. I say all that to say this, that those are the things you want to do with your children so that you can be able to rest assured that they get money skills when they leave your house. You don't get money skills in college. You know why? Because they teach you how to spend money in college and get credit cards that you can't pay off. They don't teach you how to be stewards of it. That's got to come from home. And so that's a really big point that I think that we have to continue to re-emphasize over and over, because the last thing you want to do as a parent is to, and I'm on a soapbox here a little bit, but the last thing you want to do as a parent is to spend all the money you got to spend raising your kids, then get them through college. Now they got debt as a result of that, and they get a job, they're paying their debt, but they're still financially dependent upon you because they're short this month or they're short that month. That's just not going to happen here, because we try to establish a lot of things ahead of time that puts you ahead of the curve. So if you guys agree with that, I want you to give me a thumbs up, give me a fist bump or something over there. And somebody give us a shout out real quick as to some of the things that you do with your kids to teach them money skills. I think that's so important. And again, for those of you that just came in late, welcome to the family room. And we're just having a flow with us on Friday, and just having a discussion about what our week, what our past 2 weeks, what our month has looked at, and some of the transitions and things that we've been doing. We're going to be in the process of getting the studio set up right and in another place. So we got all that stuff going, pulling things out of boxes and all of that. So a lot is happening, but yet we're still in a good place. Looking forward to Sunday, looking forward to ministering to you guys, and then just continue to do what we do on a regular basis. But I think sometimes people mistakenly think that if a person has a decent amount of resources, and I'm not talking about rich, but if a person has a decent amount of resources, that somehow their resources eliminate them having problems. No, you have problems. You just have them on a bigger scale. And those problems sometimes cost you. And so all of those things play a role into how you function, how you run your household, how you manage your finances. I see you, Marvin. How you manage your finance. I see you, Rondre. How you manage your finance with one another, with yourself, and then also with your children, and teaching that same discipline.
Yeah, he had to use the bathroom.
Okay.
All right, so I don't know where you are.
Yeah, so I was just talking about the fact that I kind of went on with the fact of what you can do with your children to build that saving mentality into them, not a fear mentality and not a poverty mentality, but a saving mentality. And so some of them are giving me some shout outs on what they do. If they agree with it, fist bumps, thumbs up, all that type of thing. And I know a lot of our parents do the very same thing with their children in different ways.
Right. Started with your grandchildren. You may say, well, I didn't get a chance to do it with my kids. Well, started with your grandkids. Instead of buying all those toys and things they can't use, open them up a savings account, and every birthday, every Christmas, put something in the account and let them go with you and put it in there. You know, there's some different creative things you can do to start the process now. And
if you got grandparents and godparents and things that like to spoil your kids, give them money, send them big gifts and things like that on Christmas, you can open up their 529 college fund and you can send them all a link from that website. So that when a birthday comes open, well, maybe they make $100 contribution to your child's college fund, which is going to go, a lot longer. Now, get them things and let them enjoy some things. But that's also another way of teaching them balance, and then being able to sit down with them and show them, look, grandma sent you $100 and it went directly to, your college fund.
Right. And communicate as a family, especially as they get older. As we shared in the family room that we did for the conference a few years ago, we asked the kids, do you want gifts or do you want to take a trip? And they wanted to take a trip.
Exactly.
And that was like pretty cool. And they still talk about that to this day.
Exactly.
No, like literally we bought one Barbie doll, with Judah's a doll. That was it. One doll.
Yeah. And
everything else was about the trip.
We were at a nice resort. And then also that helps you with these things is we save for everything. Yeah. There's an account to save for vacations and Christmas and so forth.
Right.
So being able to have those options, I think, is a good thing. If COVID didn't happen, we would have been on another trip for Christmas this year.
Yeah.
That's how much they enjoyed.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would have. We definitely would have. So we are talking about, just to kind of a chop it up Friday. We're just balancing each other today on the Friday. And we're flowing with it, Pastor.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I'm about to say I got it right. You're sitting there, you didn't have to look at no text message.
I guess I was out of balance, wasn't I?
Yes, you were out of balance.
That was one I was waiting on, though, but it's good. It's good.
Okay. So we want you to make sure that if there's a topic you want us to talk about, please make sure you share it with us, put it on the thread, send it to the church, say, hey, can they talk about this on the family room? Also, make sure that you go onto Pastor's YouTube page to look at past messages. It's really important.
And people post subjects on there too.
Okay,
so that's a great way to go to my YouTube page.
Well, you gotta let me know.
And post comments on there, just some things that might be helpful.
Yeah, because you haven't told me that.
Just recently.
Okay, great. So some different things like that. Yeah. We've been talking about your books that you have out now. They're on Amazon.com. The easy way for you to get those books as well. And we also want you to understand that if you have a prayer request during the family room, please at any time put it in the chat. Hey, my mother's in the hospital. Can you lift her up in prayer?
Yeah.
You know, I'm not feeling well today. Please put those things in there, because when we close out in prayer, we are covering all those situations.
Absolutely. And if you're a member and you have needs in your life, please follow the church protocol. I know that in the Facebook pages and different things like that, there is no way I could be able to respond to those things. Right. So please make sure you go there and not say, well, Pastor didn't respond. Well, I can't. I just can't. It's too much there. So please go through the church system so that we can make sure that we get it and then that we can respond to it.
Yes. Mary says she loves this format. You know, a lot of people enjoy just taking the time. I know a lot of times Dee's on her lunch break. Others are on their lunch break. Some people, you came back and you watched it after work or in the evening. Thank you so much for doing that. Please make sure you share. After we finish, put it out there on your social media page and say, hey, my pastor and first lady were talking about balance today. They were talking about stewardship today for your families, because they can glean something from the conversation. Yeah.
And like I said, we're working on the studio and everything else. So that's why we're a little bit dark on here today. You saw different changes and all of that, but we're going to do some things that even be outside when the weather calls us for it, and that's something that we can do. We're going to do a little bit of that too this summer. So that's going to be fun.
Yeah, just working on getting creative. You know, we are doing purging too, which is something that is necessary. But when you start having stuff from 20 Christmases ago, and I'm just like, okay, I have to pace myself, but it's time to throw out a lot. Now he throws away everything.
Now, ain't nobody asked you about me.
But he throws away stuff we need. So that's why he's looking like that.
Go on with your own little statement.
His purging is different, because he'll purge his own stuff to the point where he'll go, what happened to that sweatsuit?
Now I'll be like, man, I gave that to so-and-so. I gave that to so-and-so.
It ain't even so-and-so. You just give them the Goodwill.
Yeah, I do that sometimes. Yeah.
So I'm just like, okay, I don't need you to purge, because you purge everything.
Yes. You want me to help you?
No,
with your purging?
I don't want you to help.
I can help.
Nope, not at all.
Pretty good at it.
Not at all. Not at all. You just throw stuff away. So Flow with It Friday. So some announcements you want to share with them before we end today.
Yeah, I just want to remind you about the book she mentioned before. Money Before Marriage is the newest one. You can also get it in the audio books now, which I'm really excited about that. So if you guys out there have ordered that through audio books, send me a feed on one of the platforms or something like that. Let me know. Send me that statement. Let me know, because you know, you got to go to another level, and you got to do another level of investment to make something like that available. But we want to know that you're using it and taking advantage of it. So you can get the book on Amazon.com. You can also get it on audiobooks. You can get the book One Night Stand on Amazon. And then I think Mastering the Mechanics of Faith should be on Amazon too.
Someone said Jesus saves, pastors throwing stuff away. Absolutely. That's exactly what he does. Yeah. Lauren said she would like to have a topic on parenting while pursuing your career goals. We definitely can do that for you.
Very good.
Be important. A very good topic. For those of you that are in the Indianapolis, Indiana area, you can join us for a Sunday morning service. Just go on our website to sign up for the 9 o'clock or the 12 noon service. It just gives us a count. We're no longer taking temperatures at the door, but we do require that everyone wears a mask. Yeah. And we still have virtual Bible study every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. And we also have a prayer call that happens every Monday night at 7 p.m. Just go on our church website or on our Facebook page to get the number. You don't have to be a member of New Life to call in and be a part of our intercessory prayer that happens.
Yeah. Absolutely. And members that are able to and healthy, come on back in the house. The Bible says, forsake not the fellowship of the assembling of yourselves together, which is the habit of some. So that's a commandment. That's not even a suggestion, that to not forsake the fellowship of the assembling of ourselves together. So, you know, technology has been wonderful for COVID, because it's how ministry has gone forward. But with that coming to at least a better space, it's time for us to get out of the habit. Some of us to get out of that habit of just sitting and turning on the computer or iPad or whatever and get back to the house. Because I'm telling you, there's some things you can get in the house that you can't get through any streaming system or any technology that you could possibly use. Plus the interaction and connection with fellow brothers and sisters in the Lord is huge. So make that a part.
Yeah. Sounds good. Well, as we get ready to close out, again, thank you for joining us for the Family Room. My name is First Lady Alicia Ramsey, my husband, Pastor John F. Ramsey Sr. We want you to make sure you put your prayer requests in the thread as we are closing out in prayer. We are blessed to be able to connect with you in such a unique way. I just really thank God that He has allowed us this opportunity just to share this hour with you every Friday.
And I want to encourage you guys before we pray to support Family Room as well. And you can do that. You see the text to give number on the screen, and it might be on some of the other threads, but just take advantage of that and make an investment in the kingdom. It is amazing because nowadays you can give to anything. And I see so many people out there giving. Somebody has a feed on their YouTube page, you can give to that. But I want to encourage you to give to the kingdom and invest in the kingdom. Whenever you do, it always comes back. And it's a blessing not only to you, but it helps bless other people. So thank you all in advance for that. And nothing else, we're going to pray. Father, in Jesus' name, we thank you for the people that log in with us every week and get encouraged and get blessed. Even when we go through adjustments today with technology or screens or colors or whatever, we just are grateful that the content is always there and that your people are always there to receive. We ask your richest blessings upon their life. We ask you to bless their health, bless their wealth, their finances. Help us all find and maintain balance and hold each other accountable for balance as well. And we'll be certain to give you all the praise and all the glory in Jesus' name. Amen. And amen.
The screen doesn't look that bad.
It's a little bit darker than
it is absolutely fine. He's just mad because the generator's not working.
It's not a generator. It's not a generator. No. It looks like one.
It looks like one, but no, things look well. Thank you so much for being with us today in the family.
But I told you about my lights next week. I'm bam, bam, plug them, boom, they're on. They're not going off. Money. Next week, money. Watch. All right, everybody, be blessed. Before she says anything else about my text, be blessed. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Sunday. Take care.